Right. So, what we discussed in the last session about the provider pair and all that, right, for a long time back,
Mhm.
right? So that's what we have discussed. Uh, so even till today, because in the last session I discussed with you and I mentioned you about one is about integrated care management is one we must be knowing, right? So how this core care management works. At the same time, utilization management is also important. Next, provider network management. Provider network management, healthcare providers I'm talking about. Either it can be East network or West network, right? So even providing from that point of view is also required. In this regard, so today I'm going to explain you about the provider network management. So this is a high-level glimpse I'm giving you. So to have some idea over provider network management, right? So because whoever has taken an insurance plan, either it can be Medicare or it can be Medicaid, all that. Especially I'm talking about Medicare point of view. Uh, Medicare, we have different plans from the healthcare side. Plan A, Plan B, C, and D. Plan C is widely known plan for most of the people, right? So because that's called Medicare Advantage plan. The Medicare Advantage plan, usually this is something authorized by the insurance companies to be provided so that they can customize it because the other ones will be taken care of by the CMS team. CMS will be there, right? So Center for Medicare and Medicaid. So CMS will be taking care of all that. But when it comes to the Medicare Advantage plan, and this is being managed by the private insurance companies. So when any services to be taken, so that services has to be decided based on two things. One is about Eastern as well as West network. But depends on the kind of premium plan we have taken, right? So if there is any premium plan taken by the people, so they're authorized to get the services irrespective of the network they belongs to. They have taken a basic services, basic plan. So then it won't be applicable, right? So provider network management uh, gives you how are we going to provide, how are we going to manage the networking services because normally most of the organizations, healthcare organizations, from the provider point of view, do remember last time even I told you, we have a software called Epic software we have. Epic software used to majorly used to manage patient records at the same time registrations, all that stuff can be done. In connect to that application when we are connecting, how the provider network selection has to be done will be decided. So provider network management is one of the key important element when it comes to the pair point of view I'm talking about from the pair side, right? So pair side, I'm talking about provider network management is important
Yeah.
because whatever the kind of insurance plan a person has taken from the payer, right, from the insurance company, once they are undergoing the treatment, so that how this can be managed because for the reimbursement purpose and all the eligibility criteria, everything we have to check upon. So for that, provider network management is something which is very important so that we have to provide all the required information, whatever is needed. So next, in connect to this provider network management, as in when you know, right? So because if you want to edit any kind of labels, one of the key and important elements are three things I can say. One is about changing the record type. I'm talking about an example because this is an example which is predefined. Okay, I'm not the one who has created. I hope you understood. Okay,
Yeah.
because the predefined examples here I'm showing you. One is about the change record type is one thing. important to be edited. Point number one. Second, sharing hierarchy. The next, editing of tables, because editing of tables for identification purpose. So change record type is one we need to, because whatever the records are we available here. So we need to select the record type here, right? So whatever the existing record type do we have, it's a predefined record type which is already existed, is called as patient. Three things, right? So either it can be record type, can be a patient, or it can be a patient referral or provider lead. So three things. So we have to select the record type, depends on the lead what we have received, right? So if it's a direct patient records and all, direct records relating to the patients will be selected. If it was not the patient, right? So it is a provider lead. Let's say that it's been providing by the provider lead and all that. So we have to select the provider lead. So RS patient reference is also one of the key this thing, right? So patient referral, existing ones I'm talking about, right? So that's how generally this change record type can be done. But normally the data relating to our data management is completely a patient records only, right? So whoever is visited the hospital, right? So all these things will be there. So patient record type is what something which we manage, right? So we don't do any changes. This is a high level glimpse I'm giving, I'm not going in detail.
Yeah.
Okay, don't remember. Next, hierarchical part, right? So sharing hierarchy is also important, because when we want to when we want to manage the hierarchical process, wherein we need to identify the lead access details, whatever the required access details do we have it all. So we need to identify the hierarchical process, right? So hierarchical process of processing the claim system, because before we are moving into the claim processing adjudication, because a patient has went to the provider side, for example hospital or a healthcare organization, make sure they must be having a valid health insurance. So based on the eligibility of the health insurance and all, required treatment will be provided. So once the treatment has been provided, we know, because I'm talking about the healthcare process, do remember. So
Yeah.
this, whatever the healthcare treatment was provided, so subsequently claim processing and adjudication will be taken place. So when this claim processing and adjudication we do, what are the hierarchical process which are to be followed from the payer to provider point of view is what something we need to see, because payer will receive required claims details and all everything from the provider. So for that we use different systems. Payer side. I hope you might be heard about to an application, three applications we have majorly. One is called Facets. I think you might be heard of it. Tresito Facets. Facets is a claim management application. It's a healthcare administrative application we use this. This Facet systems can be integrated with some CRM applications even. Like we have, you can connect with even Health Cloud, right? So it can be connected. So Facet's core healthcare administrative application we use. Next, apart from Facets, we have another application called QNext and Health Edge. These are the three. We have many, but known things in regular intervals, right? So these are the three major applications we are using for claim processing and adjudication. So to process the claims and adjudication and all, it's always important for us to create a hierarchical process for that, so that whatever the claim processing we do and all everything will not be delayed, right? So there won't be any delay further. So whatever, because adjudication happens in between the submission to delivery, so submission to the release, right? So submission to claim settlement, there will be an adjudication process will be taken.
What is that?
Care of.
What is that?
Adjudication. Normally, we have three phases. We have normally from the claim point of view, we have three. One is about claim submission. Next, claim adjudication. Next was claim settlement. We have three processes normally, right? So why are we talking about sharing hierarchy? Because of this. Claim submission means once a person has undergone the treatment at the hospital or a healthcare organization. As I mentioned you beginning, there must be a proper valid valid insurance must be there for him, right? So once they have the valid insurance, uh, they're eligible to apply for go for a treatment, right? So undergo the further treatment. So once the
Yeah.
treatment is done, there will be a case sheet. Normally, in general terms, we call it as a case sheet. Case sheet where all the required details relating to the patient submission, status of the patient when they joined in the hospital, whatever the treatment, medical treatment was given, everything will be updated. And this claim submission form has to be sent to the provider side, because to the provider we have to send from the payer to the payer, right? So from the provider to payer, it has to send. So
Yeah.
required by mentioning all the details. This is what we call it as claim submission form. In the claim submission form, we submit all the details, right? So patient, when they joined, right? So what was their condition at the time? So what is the treatment they have given? So to mention all the details, normally there are different codes normally we use, like diagnosis codes, procedure codes were there. Next, at the same time, claim codes will also be there, two different things. Procedure codes, diagnosis codes, and all everything for everything. For example, there was some X-ray was there is some X-rays taken for a patient for as far as the medical process is concerned, or some scanning was done. So whatever the medical procedure and diagnosis procedure they do, there will be some codes, because this is all something comes under the HIPAA rules and regulations. Because when there is any healthcare process we follow, healthcare data exchange happens from provider to payer system, right? Or provider to payer system majorly, because from healthcare organization has to submit the claims to the payer, right? So
Yeah.
everything will falls under the HIPAA rules and regulations. So what HIPAA tells you is, HIPAA is a rule or a law, I can say. It's a rule book which was from the healthcare point of view, do's and don'ts, I can say, because no health information of an individual should be given outside without their consent. So whatever the information they were sending to the payer side, usually everything will be under the codes. For example, there is some X-ray was taken for some X person or a Y person. So automatically that related code number will be mentioned in that. So that code number relates to the um, particular procedure or the diagnosis which was done by the provider. That's how generally the codes will be submitted. Codes will be
Oh,
mentioned. Next, after that, the claim submission we do. Once that, because normally this is all something will be done by the medical coding people. You might be heard of it, medical coding or coding, medical coder people will be there. So medical coding people job is to do the medical coding for all the claim submission forms, whatever the treatment was undergone once the person got treated, right? So reimbursement purposes and all, they have to update all the data. This is all something comes under the claim submission point of view. We have to submit the claim to the payer side. That is the first one. Last one is claim settlement. Claim settlement means whatever the whatever the claims received by the payer, right? So payer means insurance companies. Normally, if the claim adjudication process is completed properly, in between whatever happens called claim adjudication. Claim adjudication means, for example, if there is any additional information they require, or if they want to have any information to be reconfirmed and rechecking, right? So everything comes under the claim adjudication part, so that we adjudicate the claim and we see whether the claim process happen, if not to have any kind of delays in between. or not to have any kind of confusions and all. Whatever the process happens in between is called adjudication. Means, let's say, for example, there was some cost, because when there is a person has taken any insurance plan, there will be a cost which is applicable, right? So, which is applicable and which is eligible for example, overnight stay at the hospital. Hospital overnight stay charges were given by the hospital, as per their insurance plan, it was somewhere around $50, roughly speak. Okay, $50. But a person who has undergone the treatment at the hospital, so overnight charges has taken, which is somewhere around 100. So whatever the difference balance of $50 has to be paid by the patient itself. So that's the reason why this claim adjudication, because for every treatment, for every services, there are some cost which is involved in it, and this cost will be decided basically majorly by the provider to payer. Because whatever the cost given by the provider to the payer company is different for regular thing. Okay, because there are some customized plans normally we will be having. Because as in when I said like Medicare Advantage plan, right? So we have all that. So
Yeah.
between submission to settlement, go ahead.
No. Yeah. Continue. Yeah. Continue. I'm good.
Yeah. So between submission to settlement, whatever happens is called adjudication. Okay. Whatever the clarifications they want to get clarified, either in context to the cost of the procedure or the diagnosis charges, or maybe of any other information, everything comes under the claim adjudication. So once the claim adjudication, then the claim settlements will be done. Understand clearly?
Okay. So claim submission is done by the payer. Education is done by the
Uh,
mm,
so I will write
oh, sorry.
down here. Claim, claim
Submission
submission.
provider. Yeah. Provider.
Claim submission
Provider.
from the provider to payer.
Yeah.
Provider to payer. Once the patient got treated. Okay. This is first
Yeah.
point number one. Okay. Understand? Right?
Yeah.
Provider to payer. Next, claim adjudication. Process happen between provider to payer to get any clarity over the details submitted earlier. This is what we call it as adjudication. Whatever the information sharing happens between provider to payer, this is all comes under the adjudication.
So this is done through the courts, what you said, right? Claim
Yes,
PCR
through the codes and all, because normally we have different codes, like ICD codes, we call it as ICD codes, International Classification of Diseases, we call it as ICD codes are there. In this ICD codes, we have procedure codes, we have diagnosis codes.
Okay.
Procedure codes and diagnosis codes will be there. There will be some procedure codes and diagnosis codes we follow. Means hospitals will give you all the information. For example, a person has undergone some surgery or something. So pre and post surgery, what treatment they have given, what was the scanning or any other reports was taken or any test was undergone treatment. Everything they have to be mentioned in the code format, not directly. Because earlier we used to send everything in the paper format. We used to send the claim submission through paper format. Paper format means directly we used to send through what we call through through a paper we used to write, and we used to send it through email system. That was the way beginning, not these days. Later on, what happened, because healthcare information is so sensitive, government has initiated a law which is called HIPAA law.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm talking about provider to payer side, that's the reason I'm explaining all these things to you, okay?
Yes.
Otherwise, we don't require. If it is pharma and all that, so this is not related because we are talking about provider to payer, so hence this information is required, okay?
Yeah.
So HIPAA stands for Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. It's a kind of regulatory body, you know that. For example,
Yeah.
if you take insurance in India, right? IRDA is there. What is IRDA? IRDA is Insurance Regulatory Directory Authority of India, right? So
Mm-hmm.
what IRDA do? IRDA regulate the insurance companies not to follow any kind of unethical practices. Am I right? There are some do's and don'ts. So which insurance companies has to follow that? Am I right? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Next, for example, we have SEBI. What is SEBI? Stock Exchange Board of India. Stock Exchange Board of India regulates people who are listing their companies into public listed companies, right? So not to follow any other practices, right? So they regulates it, right? So at the same time, we have RBA, Reserve Bank of India, who which is a regulatory body for the banks for all the financial transactions, all that. In the same manner, when it comes to the healthcare, from the US healthcare system point of view, there is a regulatory body, I can say, which is called Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. This is an act regulates the healthcare information as well as the kind of transactions happen between provider to payer side. So whatever the transactions happen, everything should be in a code format, encrypted format. For that encrypted format, for every procedure and diagnosis and all, there will be some codes will be given. So we have to use that code. So that code has to be mentioned. So it is not only the transactions, whatever the kind of systems they have to follow, everything will also be falls under that. For example, uh, what I can say for example, provider organization or a payer side companies, they are using some systems, the workstations and all they were using. So what sort of workstations and what must be the configuration, what kind of software they have to use, everything comes under the HIPAA rule book. So
Okay.
companies has to follow, either providers or the payer has to follow the rule book of HIPAA, which was initiated or which was given, right? Even I'm talking about the kind of systems or the workstations we are using comes under that. Next, whatever the administrative procedure, at the same time, training to the employees regarding the HIPAA rules and regulations. Followed by this, whatever the information you are sharing from one to another, means provider to payer or payer to provider, everything must be under the codes. To support these codes and all, there are some applications we required, some systems, because for example, you are in the payer side, insurance company side, wherein you are receiving insurance claims and all. How do you receive it? This is not something we are receiving through emailing. Am I right?
Yeah.
Because this is not one and two, right? So every day there's some thousands of claims will be received across, depends on the network which that organization has. For example, that healthcare insurance provider, either it can be priority health or something, right? So it depends on the level, range of services they are providing. They have a client list. So when there is a client list, automatically they receive a lot of claims in day-to-day intervals. To manage those claims and all, we have some claim system is required. So those claim systems are majorly of three. One is Facets, second is QNext, and the third one is called Health Edge. These are the three. Lot many we have, but I'm just writing few,
Yeah.
whichever I know. Okay, Facets, QNext, and Health Edge. Facets or QNext Health Edge, these are the claim healthcare administrative applications exclusively used at the time of claim processing and adjudication. We do all that. We use all these things. These are the systems used by the payer company to receive the claims. Whatever the claim submissions and all happen, this claim submissions, whatever the claim receivables, everything happens through this claim systems they receive. Understand? Clear?
Yeah,
Right?
got it. So these applications used by payers and the providers, both of them, right?
Yes, majorly payer, because claim system required for the payer to receive it. normally. So payer uses, payer, whatever the facets application, QNext, Health Edge, these application used by the payer, insurance company.
So how is submission happens then from the provider?
Yeah, that's what. They have their own systems. That's what I'm saying. Even the same systems can be used by the providers also. Providers also.
Yeah.
Or else they have their own healthcare applications. For example, you can take Epic software. Okay, Epic software, as I think in the beginning of the session, if I am not wrong, I have
Yep.
shown.
You to mention,
Epic
yes.
software is healthcare administrative application using by the providers. Okay,
Oh, okay.
so if they want to use it, they have to follow the same rules and regulations of HIPAA.
Okay.
Understand?
Yeah, got it.
Right?
Yeah, got it.
So if there is any claim submission happen, there is a procedure code called 837 we use. This is a code we normally use. For procedure, for claim submission, the kind of code number we use called 837. Understand?
Okay.
Clear,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Claim submission. Okay. I'm talking about claim submission. Do you understand this? Clear?
Yeah, got it. I got it. Yes.
Right? So claim submission. Next, claim adjudication. Claim adjudication, normally whatever the process happens in between claim adjudication, process of transaction happen between provider to payer, payer to provider, between payer to provider, once the claim submission done. Because when claim submission done, immediately claim payment settlements won't happen. Okay, because cost may vary. Okay, sometimes whatever the insurance plan they have taken, because last time I told you, right, sometime back I told you, there are two different plans. One is basic plan, second is a premium plan.
Yeah.
So basic plan, basic services are there, and a person who has taken the basic plan, he is eligible to meet the local provider, local network doctor only. Okay, they are not authorized to meet any specialized doctors or someone, no specialist, nothing. So if it's a premium services they have taken, they are authorized to meet any doctor at any point in time prior to appointment provided. And that too irrespective of network, either you belongs to East or West network, so nothing matters, right? So any doctor we can approach if it's a premium services are taken. If it's a basic services are taken, a person belongs to East network, he has to meet the doctor or the healthcare organizations providers from the East only. If they are belongs to West, uh, they have to go to the West network only, right? So they are not authorized to go and meet other listeners. So
Yeah.
that's how generally these differences will be there. Understand? Right.
Yeah, got it.
Next, claim settlement. Claim settlement means once the claim once adjudication done, whatever the final confirmation regarding claim payment, etc., will be under this, right?
Yep, that's it. Yeah.
Will be part of this. Okay, this is what generally claim payment. So normally to send these claim payments and all, claim settlements will be sent to the provider side, provider, healthcare organization, this payment will be made. So for that, the kind of code which they will be using is called 835 code they use. 835 is a code number will be used for the claim settlements, claim payments, claim whatever name you can call. Right, so claim payments 100% are they paying or 60, 70, 80 depends on the case to case. This is all something will be varied. Okay, what are the claims? For example, there is a criteria. For example, there is a Medicare A. Medicare A plan is there. A, B, C, D. In this A plan is there. A plan is for inpatient services. Inpatient services means That plan is exclusively eligible only for inpatient. A person wants to join in the hospital, then plan A is applicable, right? So a person has undergone the treatment at the hospital having that service of A. Within the conditions apply within the next 45 days or 2 months, there will be something I just forgotten it. So within that time, with the same identical procedure, he joined, this claims won't be accepted. Okay,
Okay.
there are some conditions apply. So all these things will be there, depends on the plan what they have taken. So based on that, whatever the claim adjudication happens and all everything happen, finally claim settlements will be done. So the claim payment, whatever is to be reimbursed by the payer company to the provider, will be directly sent to the provider's account here. So this is the process which normally happen. So in this process, how provider network management to be managed is what something which payer companies has to be taken care of. That's the reason why under the payer side, when you're talking about provider network management, this is the
Mhm.
first thing which we must be knowing. Understood?
Okay.
Clear?
Yeah, got it. Yeah.
So this is the process. One is about the submission part, second adjudication, third is a claim settlement. Adjudication, nothing but the transactional process happen between submission to settlement. Whatever the transaction happens between these two, that's
Mhm.
what we call as claim adjudication. It's very simple. Understood?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So this is what generally the provider network. So as far as the provider network management itself is concerned, when we wants to sharing the hierarchy, let me explain you this point again. This we have stopped here. So sharing hierarchy is what something here we need to add all the user, what whoever the users and all. So the user details has to be admitted. So user information, so whoever the users and all that information will be updated here. At the same time, user access details has to be updated so that we will be knowing about the hierarchical process, how this can be implemented, everything we will be knowing. So this is also one of the key and important element we have to be focused when we are working on the provider network management when we are talking about this, right? So sharing hierarchy and all that. Next, editing of labels, like editing of labels where we can set different labels if there is any created. For example, uh, yeah, Medicare. Because there is a plan of Medicare is there, right? So if you want to add any kind of labels or something like, if you want to add, you can add label for Medicare and all. This is all for the easy identification purposes. If you want to access the application, so these labels we can create a number of labels, whatever we want. So depends on the
Created,
application we are working. Sorry.
so you created labels for where, like on this, it's a page, it's a layout, right? That's a lead layout that
Yeah,
doctor.
lead layout because Medicare, why I have taken a label for Medicare? Because Medicare plan we have. So we can create a lead layout for the Medicare plan as separate.
Okay.
Understand? Clear.
Yeah.
So these are the labels which we have to be added. So these are the three major ones I'm saying. I don't say everything, but major one is about the changing the record type is one thing is required.
Mm-hmm.
Next, sharing hierarchy, that process, because from the business analyst point of view, because this is all something which we are talking about from the BA point of view, talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Being a business analyst, whatever the existing healthcare cloud application or health application we have, health cloud application, whatever the required changes you want to be made in between is what something which we have to see. Because either, for example, if you want to create any kind of workflows, because this workflow again depends on the kind of services what that provider or a payer is providing. Okay, so depends on their business rules and all that. So there are some workflow changes which we wants to make. So all these things which being into business analysis we have to do when we are working on the health cloud application. It's not only health cloud, you can relate to any other application. Major area is to understand about the business rules and making required changes according to the business rules in the workflow activity of an existing workflows, which was already predefined in the application. One of the key and important
Mm.
Apart from the admin activities, because anyway admin activities, filters, creations, all these things you are anyway aware of. So
Yeah.
this is one more activity which, being into business analysis, we must be good with. Clear, we know, understood.
Okay. Yeah, got it. Yeah.
Right. So changing record type is one thing which we have to be taken care of majorly. Sharing hierarchy. At the same time, editing labels, whereby updating all the labels especially. So this, because this is something which we are doing it manually, right? So we are not copied any information as such, right? So we have taken in additional information and we are doing it. So this is what something which normally we do when it comes to the provider network side. Okay, clear?
Mhm.
Understood?
Yeah, got it.
Right. So this is all about. So tomorrow I'll upload the data because we don't have any sample data as such. I am not showing you because this is a predefined data we have. Tomorrow I'll upload some sample data set and all. Then I will show you so that you will have more clarity while we
Yeah,
are
yeah.
moving further. Some data sets are required for us to do because these are the data sets which are already predefined. I will
Okay.
upload some new data sets so that we will be working on it so that you'll have more better idea. In regard to that, I just explain you about Medicare and how that works and all that. I have explained.
The label sharing settings, right? Yeah,
First,
sharing once. Okay, we need to look at it. Okay, because yeah, I want to see what sharing we do.
sorry.
Hierarchy part, the sharing, the what you said, right? Sharing hierarchy, right? So
Uh,
that's based on the roles, or you want to mention it
Based
refers
on
to
the process, sharing of hierarchy based on the process we follow.
process.
Mm.
Okay, the process flow. Okay, okay, yeah. Mm. Okay, yeah, we'll look
Based
at
on
it.
the process, this hierarchy process, this will work actually.
Okay.
Based
So
on the
then,
business process,
yeah.
based on the business process, these hierarchies will change usually.
Okay.
Understood?
Okay. Yeah, got it. Yeah.
Okay,
Done.
we'll meet tomorrow. Bye.
Okay. Okay, then. Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Yeah. Share this video. Okay. Let me
Yeah,
incorporate.
please. Yesterday, I think last video I have shared with
I
you.
got it. I got it. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I got it.
Thank you.